Hi, everybody. I'm Paul. I hope you're all well. We'll give it a bit of time for people to join and to get everyone ready. And Dr. Teresa will be here shortly. If you could put in the chat where you're from, that'd be great. I'm from UK. I live in a place called Bishop Stortford, which is halfway between London and Cambridge. We've got Storm from England as well. Got Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, Katie. Oh, sunny Denver. We've had it pretty sunny over here. It's not quite as hot as it was. It was 25 degrees, and we don't really have aircon here, so everyone was sweating. I think we've got about 40 registered for tonight. Oh, yeah, we'll give a bit of time just for people to join. And also, if you want to post in the comments your niche, what we'll try and do is we'll pick a few of those later. So niche being the sort of area that you work in. It might be, you might have a niche and a sub niche. I work in AI consultancy. You may work as a dog handler, for example. Do you work with particular types of dogs? Are you an architect? Functional medicine. Thanks, Katie.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon,
Hello.
good morning, good evening. It's good to see you.
I've just been
And
asking
I'm
where people are
allowing,
from, Teresa. We've got someone from UK and we've got someone from Raleigh, North Carolina, and Denver, Colorado.
oh, fantastic. Priscilla, it's really nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you as well.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming. And Katie, good to see you. I appreciate your Facebook message. Pleasure. Welcome back, John. Good to see you again. And we've got more people hiding with their cameras off. Awesome. So tell me in the chat, how many of you know what a pipeline is? Put a P in the chat if you know what a pipeline is, an AI pipeline.
What is an AI pipeline?
Go ahead and put a P in the chat if you know what it is, and put an N if you don't. John, oil or gas. Texas tea. Priscilla says, yes, sort of. Lynn's got a P in there. And Lynn says her area of healthcare is, I love it. Katie's got a P in there. And then of those that are here and we're at the summit as well, and you received Sam's set of skills, who's installed them? Go and put a Y in the chat if you've installed Sam's skills. Katie, I see your hands raised. Hi, Storm. Glad you're here again. Storm's got it on the schedule for next week. Well done. No one else. Okay. The skills were, I don't know, Paul, did you get a chance to open those skills? I
I
took a
have.
look at them and they were a repeat of what I already have. Joanne, were you sharing something with us about the skills or? Joanne, she's waiting on the recording to finish listening to. Okay. Sam skills kind of confusing, says Robbie. So Robbie, what was confusing about it? If you don't mind sharing, feel free to come on screen. Hi, Paul. Good to see you again.
Hi, good to be here.
Awesome. Oh, Robbie's at work. Okay, understandable. Gotcha. Okay. So how many of you have set up Claude, last question, or ChatGPT or Gemini or any LLM to make it specific for your brand? You fed it some information. Katie has. Joanne has. Give me a Y or yes in the chat. Storm has. Lynn has. Great. Because I heard the questions yesterday on the VIP call. People weren't sure about how to go about setting that up. So what I did was I made a shortcut for you. So, ooh la la, right? So hang in there. I'll get that to you here shortly. I'm just waiting for my team to finish it. So with everyone's projects, we talked a little bit on the VIP call yesterday about if someone gave you $50,000, what would you do with it? Like, why would they give you the $50,000? And that's a question for you to ponder as we go through today, because things are changing very fast.
Volunteer opportunity.
Yeah, there's new opportunities, right, Joanne? And Katie says she has 3 years of collaboration with her ChatGPT counterpart. And yesterday we developed a constitution for your brand. Ooh, that would be fascinating. Well done. Cool. Not just a mission, a constitution. Cool. Glad to hear that. Now, I know Paul's worked very hard on putting some different ideas together for you. And when he and I were chatting about a pipeline, I had one idea from a children's game, and he was like, no, this is what it is. But Paul, what was your definition of a pipeline? Do you remember from yesterday when we were chatting about the waitress calling the... Can you hear me okay? Oh, we can't hear you.
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, shall I just quickly show a couple of slides about the pipeline?
Well, tell us what your definition of a pipeline first, because I thought it was great.
Yeah, so you could think of a pipeline basically as assets in, revenue out. A pipeline takes something that you already do and turns it into something valuable, and you can do that repeatedly. It's taking a process and repeating that process. That's the pipeline, taking the assets in and getting the revenue out the other side.
Beautiful. And part of that pipeline, the skills or the agents are passing the task from one to the other. So like if you're out for dinner and you want the waitress to go call your cab for you or have the valet get your car, you're basically giving that task to an individual and they're passing the task to the next individual who's then executing the task. So that's a very simplistic concept of the pipeline, but that's basically what's happening behind the scenes. Think about it. When you turn on the light switch, the lights come on, but we don't really see everything that goes on behind the switch, through the wires, and to the bulb, right? We don't really see that. And that's kind of the way an AI pipeline works. We don't see what's going on, but we know it's happening. And when the pipelines are set up seamlessly, and this is what Paul's really, really good at, then you do have a repeatable process that brings revenue in. And part of that is having ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini know who you are. And that's why I was asking about who's got information in there. And I've got a shortcut for you if you've not already done that. So Paul's put together some really beautiful slides. If you want to share, Paul, what you see happening in terms of like what you shared with me, a client, Giovanna, and what her landing page looks like.
Yeah, let me do a quick demo and just share my screen. Bear with me 1 second. And we're going to go for desktop number 1.
And Katie's like, yeah, it is a lot, Katie. It is. And that's why we're going to take this piece by piece. And we're going to show you some of the outcomes first in terms of what you could get. Like when Paul worked with this client, Giovanna, this is what she ended up with.
Yeah, Giovanna's the wife of a sort of quite famous tennis player, a guy called Rayner, and he was world number 5 back in the day. He's just run the Open over in Vienna, so he's done the Vienna Open, and I've been working with her, and she's got a luxury bag brand. And if I just scroll down a little bit, then most businesses don't have a content problem; they have a voice problem. So every email and page sounds like somebody else wrote it. And the way to try and get around that is to have something where the AI knows about you, knows about your business. So finds out about what the market is looking for. And then you have a brand DNA that knows all about what's important to you. How do you differentiate yourself in the market? If you're the same as everybody else, you're commodity and it drives you down. And in this case, this is an example from Giovanna's brand document, which we put together. She's got a luxury wearable art house. And brand essence is artful empowerment, where art becomes confidence. She works out of her home and an artist luxury house crafting rare refined pieces from women who value individuality. 4 pillars: artistic identity, Italian craftsmanship, empowerment and becoming, emotional depth, and artist philosopher. She's a poetic and storytelling, so her campaigns come around from this sort of concept. The full guide I'll just quickly show you. So the full brand guide should be over here. Let me just load up the brand book and allow that. And this is sort of in her brand colors. And so yeah, where art becomes confidence, a brand built on becoming. So her mission is to craft rare sculptural pieces made with devotion that empowers a woman to become who she meant to be. The core values. If you ran this process, obviously for your business, it'd be totally different. I ran this as well for my sister, who her and her husband run a woodworking company. So she differentiates by having sculptural silhouettes of emotional depth, founder-led story of artistic intimacy, meaningful luxury. Her positioning, this is how you differentiate yourself. As I said, you want to be different in the market. You don't want to be the same as everybody else. So these are some areas where she can differentiate herself. And as you can see, there's 7 pages altogether. Her pillars and her voice and tone is elegant, empowering, artistic, minimal. And that then carries across into, for example, her website, where art becomes confidence. Born from the quiet beauty of Venice in a workshop behind a faded green door, I learned that craftsmanship is not a skill, it's devotion made visible. So it's bringing in some of those storytelling type concepts. And when she writes emails, then those are in line with her brand as well. And then we put together a PowerPoint presentation, which is when she goes to see these specialist boutiques and stores, she can present herself and her brand essence. I could probably just quickly zoom into there. If you give me 1 second. So Giovanna, there's a refined balance of design, Italian craftsmanship, and a distinct art-led experience. So yeah, we created that. We created her website and we worked on the PowerPoint, and the branding comes throughout. So if I give you, I'll just quickly show you, this is, for example, a pipeline as assets in, revenues out. Something you can do over and over again. You do the work once as a task, but if you create into a pipeline, it's an asset which you can create for you over and over again. So for example, the leads you never follow up with, a follow-up pipeline is going to keep following up with those people. Most people don't follow up enough. Those people who raise their hands, and it might be through multiple different mediums. You might send them an email, you might send them a WhatsApp message, you might give them a phone call. Then that's the sort of idea. A content system is where you, for example, here we might have this webinar. We turn that into posts, emails, lead magnets. Being able to take that one piece of content is again a pipeline. So your expertise is locked in your head. Take that out and productize it. And then if I show you an example, this is sort of, I prepared the prompt earlier, but we're going to do this in real time. And the concept is, I thought it would be useful for stores that might want to host her bags to have like a page where they can apply to work with her. So what I've done here is I've put together a prompt. which is to take her brand grounding document, which is what we looked at, and then a stockist application, refined boutiques gallery, which allows people to want to stock her. So if I just copy and paste this
so
into
if we can slow down for just a minute here, Paul.
Yeah, sure.
I want to be sure if we've got questions from the audience.
Yep, sure.
If people are feeling good about what they're seeing, is it making sense what Paul's doing? Is that he took the information about her and then from there built the website, from there built the webinar program, and then from there he can build the content as well as the emails. And Natalie says she'd love to have that prompt. I love it, Natalie. And that's totally up to Paul. I've got plenty of cool things to share with you as well. And one of the things I want to ask you, Paul, is in the process of doing this, how often do you have to physically copy and paste anything?
In this case, you can sort of keep it fairly simple. I'm usually using plain text describing what I want for a particular thing. So in here, I could ask for all sorts of things to be in Ivana's her brand identity. I could ask for an email. I could ask for a LinkedIn post. I could ask for a Twitter post or something like that. Then it's got all of that information.
Just to clarify, my question is like, and if you could stop sharing your screen for a second so we can all see each other. Like in the process, once the pipeline starts, do you have to do anything? Or is it as seamless as the waitress going and calling the valet to get your car?
Once you've got that pipeline, that's the whole idea, is it's reproducible and you can keep working that same system. Over time, it might change and you might want to improve it and you can feedback things to it. But the overall concept is that will just keep running over and over again once you've got your pipeline set up.
So once it's set up, then what I want to just be sure everyone's aware of is it works when you're connected to the internet. Like if I were to close my laptop, my pipeline is going to shut down because my internet is cut off.
It sort of depends how it's set up, but in most cases, yeah. Say if you've got it set up within a Claude project, then if Claude is down or your internet is down, then yeah, you wouldn't be able to run that particular pipeline. But if you had a local model running, then it wouldn't be reliant on the internet. So you can have local models installed on your local machine. But to keep it simple, I'd say, yeah, use one of the mainstream tools, at least to get started. When you're further along, then you could run your own models, and then it's not reliant on the internet. You could still run those, but yeah, depending on what it is, obviously, if you're posting something, the internet would have to be there.
Yeah, because I've heard of people actually setting these things up on the cloud, like an Amazon Web Service kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And that's when it runs consistently without you. Correct?
Yeah. So you can have something running. For example, you could have a virtual private server like I've got, which I can have things running on there which just run without me having to have my computer turned on. It runs on there, and you might have heard of some things like OpenClaw, Hermes Agent. Those can run, and you can connect to them using something like Telegram or Slack, and just tell it what you want it to do. And you can also have multiple agents that do specific purposes. One might be your social media agent, and you can go and create a social media post. Another one might be an email agent that creates emails for you, or you might have one that's a design agent. Then those different agents may have different tasks which you assign to those, and they're specialized in that particular task. And there might be a pipeline around that idea.
Right. Very cool. Now, one of the things I've gotten away from using Claude, it's been very helpful, is I had a chat GPT, a custom GPT that would write my emails for me, and then I would have to copy and paste those into ActiveCampaign. And now that I'm using Claude Code, I've been able to connect Claude Code with my ActiveCampaign, and it puts the email in there for me and schedules it out. And I'm actually going to show everyone the results that I got from the emails that went out about the summit on a dashboard that I created, because you can also create dashboards with information. And Paul's one of these AI pros that knows how to connect all this stuff through either MCPs or APIs. It used to be, there's a software called N8N. Who's heard of N8N? Okay, do you use N8N? Alan uses it. Okay, cool. So the MCPs take the place of the N8Ns to a certain degree, right? But there's also the conversation about if Claude becomes too expensive, you're going to need N8N. That's a different rabbit hole. We'll skip that one for now. Yeah. So, in starting to build these things, Paul, you just rattled off a lot of agents. I know email is when I ran the conversion force multiplier intakes for everybody, a lot of people are missing good messaging and good traction with their traffic. And email is one of the ways you get people inside your own community. Like you can do responses on LinkedIn through messaging and Facebook messaging. You can talk to them through TikTok now on the comment section or have private conversations with them there. But until you have an email address or a phone number, they're really out there and they can be taken away from you at any time. They're not really part of your community. So email is one of the most important ones, and an email agent is a pretty essential item for anybody to have. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
Yeah, it's useful to have an email agent, and I think you're aware of the concept of the arena, aren't you? Where you'd have different experts compete against each other. So that's something I do. Is I have one email writer might write an email, another email writer would write an email, and then a judge would judge those and then give feedback, and then you could have that run through multiple rounds. So something like that's quite useful. So rather than just have the first thing that comes out of the AI, you could have multiple ones, and then you could also judge it, and then that then allows you to have improve over time and have that sort of feedback mechanism, which is quite useful.
Yes, and this type of a competition between email writers and having a judge eliminates the need for you to having to tell your AI, that's not right. I don't like it like that, because it's going to just run with it for you. And you've got somebody watching everybody. A lot of it does take training. How long did it take you to get that all set up, Paul, and working how you wanted it to?
The largest part was building out the frameworks. So you take, for example, a course, and then I would transcribe all of the course. I would then turn all of the documents into a sort of text format, and then I'd turn that into a framework. And then so that took quite a while. Then once I've got the frameworks, then yeah, I'd run it and create this arena. And then once you've got that, you also want something that's got an idea of your voice, so it writes as if it's you. Altogether, it took about 5 hours to do the voice profile, getting it to know me intimately, and then the other bit was probably 20 hours or something. But it's running overnight, so it's not like I have to stay there all the time. Again, that's a pipeline of taking information from a course, turning it into text content, and then once you've got it all in text content, turning it into a framework which you can then use for multiple purposes, but in this case for an arena. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I love the word arena. That's because of the Coliseum, the competitions in the Coliseum. Not that I'm a big fan of gladiators and wrestling, but Russell Crowe was good in that movie, right?
Sorry.
So, Katie, you'd be curious about this one. I'm going to share some of the results that I was able to get. Using a similar system.
Alan was talking about the local models and saying, it cuts down the cost barrier. I've just been building out a system that's got 128 gigs of RAM, and then I've got all of the front-end models for open source. But like Alan was saying, it's a little bit more technical, so it's not the first place to start. And yeah, you can build some interesting systems around that.
Yeah, very cool. So this was the outcome of going through and really studying the market and the voice of the consumer. So this particular page here was something that Claude Code built for me. And then Claude Code does have something called front-end design. And front-end design will actually create the pages for you and get them a little more stylish than what an agent can give you. But you can see Claude made charts for me, really went into in-depth, added images. I know I've got an image in here. So this is the end result. And then to share with you, I'm gonna, I started with the actual offer. Can you see my screen with the offer on it? Okay, cool. So basically, this is a physician who's going to do consultations over the video or over phone. Who's the target market? And these are people overseas. So the premise is you can't engineer an offer. You can't engineer the message if you don't have the offer. So you have to start with your offer. And I know some people have been using, if you've not tested your offer, that's another way to use Claude Code and look at an offer agent. I use an offer agent that was a Gemini Gem for over a year now, and he's starting to pale in comparison to what I can do on Claude. But AI can help you refine your offer. So once you have your offer, then you look at your competition. So if you copy your competition, you have a less chance of standing out, of course. And that's where you have positioning statements. Marketing positioning statements are important to make sure you're not mimicking somebody else, but you're coming up with your own position. And a lot of that is dependent on what is the desire in the market. So the primary desire was tranquility and the desire to stop suffering for this particular market. And they wanted relief, not upgrades to feeling fine. They just wanted sheer relief. They didn't want to feel like $1 million. They just wanted relief. So there's a difference in that language and in that message. So going into their psychographics and what are they conditioned to think? It's, they've got this sick care thought process versus having a body that works well for them. And the phrase root cause is very common with functional medicine. So they might be becoming blind to that. So the other thing that the system does, the pipeline, once it has that information, it goes into who is this actual person, who is the ideal client, the ICP, the avatar. And it actually defined the avatar. And a lot of this came from, you'll see it here in a second, what's called the voice of the consumer. And this was the bottom line statement. You see it right here. There was 40 verbatim VOC quotes, voice of consumer quotes, and surveys and expat forums that the pipeline went in and retrieved all this information and then created Diana, summarized it, analyzed it, and stacked the pain, the two wounds. She was dismissed by doctors who never investigated her hormones, and then she's stranded abroad also. So if you've got the message for one person down, you can then talk to 1,000. Don't start with what's called boiling the ocean, where your service is good for everybody. Because if you bring it down to one person, then you've got a relatable message. So here's where things can fail. And on Wednesday's summit, I talked a little bit about how AI initiatives in marketing, the RAND company did a study and 85% of those have failed. Up to 80% of them will fail this year. And it's because they start without this type of investigative recognizance of really knowing the market. And here's where the failure patterns we're coming up with. So the more they fail and the more your competition fails, then you've got a stronger message to be believed. So you end up with a core concept of what that one person can identify with. And you can also look at what is their mindset? So you're not writing copy. Yes, I ended up with a landing page, and I have another lead magnet page that I use. And you want to be talking to the conversation in their head, obviously. And the biggest trigger is that $500 for their consult with the doctor is less than the cost of a flight home or 1 month of supplements that don't work. This all came out of the voice of the consumer research that was done. So the belief gap, this is really, really, really important. When Rich Schefren was showing us landing pages that he had thought leaders analyze, and he pulled up the landing page for the summit, that headline came out of the belief gap I found when I did this research for the summit. So, and according to Rich, it was a very good headline, and all those thought leaders agreed. I had a few other things wrong, but the belief gap is really, really important. Like, what is missing? Where do we need to get them from and to? You know, they're like, she's too smart to fall for another health thing, versus, you know, the symptoms have a findable root cause. If I can get her to believe that, to go into that gap and fill that gap for her, then she becomes a client for the doctor. A USP is created from the research. And then the positioning anchor. Very important. This is truly what the entire marketing campaign is built on. I just started the campaign 10 days ago, and we've already got clients. So I'm pretty happy about that. So here we go. Want to check in with everybody. Does it make sense when you've got this pipeline and it's set up like that? I used it for the summit and I used it for this client, and I got the results, and I'm getting the clients coming in. Let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Alan, corporate espionage is very much alive and well. Well, you know what, Alan, it's kind of interesting. The subject of privacy comes up a lot with AI. And privacy was actually out the window 20 years ago or longer, I'm sure. Yes. Big Brother knows more about us than we know about ourselves, our children, or our spouses. So, Paul, they stole a lot of Claude's IP. Oh, my goodness. Who's this? Okay. And then this is great conversation over here between Alan and Paul. Awesome.
Did you want me to share my? I ran that prompt, Teresa. Do you want me to show the results?
Which prompt was that?
The one about Yvonne, where I took her brand document and then I asked for it to create a page for people who might want to stock her bags.
Well, we've got some questions about the prompt itself. You're using it inside Claude, not Codex, correct?
Yeah. Maybe if I'll quickly share my screen and just show the prompt plus the results that came back. So
okay,
bear with
great.
me. And here I'm running, I'll make this a little bit bigger as well. I'm running Claude Code here, and it's running within the CLI, which stands for Command Line Interface. Here I'm running it on a Mac, and it's running in Terminal. You can also run it from the Claude, you can just run it from the Claude desktop as well. And then if I scroll up, it says, build and deploy a luxury landing page for the brand Yvonne live. Here's the grounding document. So we've got the brand DNA, and then it says the sections are a hero, which is carry to work, a headline, an invitation to a small number of considered stores, and then describe the kind of stores she works with, explain what carrying Yvonne means, who this isn't for, and then an application form. And then if images need refreshing, it's got like Instagram scraper. So again, that's a pipeline. Apify is a platform that can scrape information from, for example, LinkedIn or Instagram. Then what I said was just, can you pull some images from her Instagram page? And then the styling just came from the brand book. But you could keep that quite a lot simpler. You could just say, can you create me a landing page for people who are interested in what she stocks? And then from there, so it's building and deploying the Yavana stockist page now. All sections, brand lines, the 5 bag images, and the form function in place. And it's deployed and live. And again, there's a pipeline that can take a page and push it automatically to something called Cloudflare. So in this case, this page is hosted on Cloudflare. So a luxury stockist application page has been built based on her brand DNA. And I'll quickly zoom out and show you the page that got generated. So this is the page. Carry to work, an invitation to a small number of considered stores, apply to stock Yavana. And then we've got we place the work where it is understood. Yavana is wearable art, rare sculptural pieces made in Italy with devotion. We don't sell to everyone. We partner with a few rooms where a woman is buying meaning, not a logo. What carrying Yavana means: limited, intentional pieces, never mass. I found a story your clients can feel. And this all came from her. It's taking the information from her brand document and then it's applying it in this specific case. So these particular words won't be in the brand document, but it knows based on who she is and what her brand document says, what sort of words that work. And, we'd refine it a little bit, but it might get you 90% of the way there. A woman who carries Yavana isn't trying to be seen. She's revealing who she already is. We're not a fit for discount led floors, fast trend assortments, or rooms where price is the first conversation. Yavana is slow luxury. So yeah, we're looking for particular stores to host what she's got. And then it pulled these images from her Instagram profile. This is the bag which she sells. Sculpture leather, made in Italy with devotion. And this is another of her bags, and that one there as well. A small intentional collection, chosen, not chased. Request to carry Yavana. Tell us about the store, and then here's the store name, your name, and a submit application. So this is just a quick example of what the power of having a brand document does. And then those pipelines, a pipeline for creating a website. So it just means you can quickly, if you're working with a client, you can just spin up a website and you can have multiple tabs and things like that, which is useful. And the prompt, I will make that available and put it in the chat as well. And feel free to ask any questions. So I'm just saving that now. And I also put something else in the chat a little bit earlier, which is a prompt enhancer, which means you can take a basic prompt and it can improve your results from that prompt. So I'll save that as well. It's a custom GPT. Let's put that into that. Let me grab that one. I'll just briefly show you this prompt enhancer. If I come across to here, so in this case, I could say, I want to create a landing page for a functional medicine business targeted at the over 50s. Then I'll ask you some questions. Who specifically are you looking for? So in this example, I'll just say, we'll say health conscious professionals. What style and tone should the landing page use? So we'll just do a quick example. So we'll say this one here. What level of detail should the landing page output include? A moderately detailed copy. I'll turn your answer to a polished reusable prompt for generating landing page copy with clear structure, positioning, and conversion guidance. So it's going to break it down, and it's using a formula called, it's the context formula, basically. So, sorry, the CoStar framework is context, objective, audience, style, and tone and positioning. And it takes all that information, then you can just copy that. So rather than the first prompt, which is fairly basic, this takes it and creates a much more detailed prompt. And then if you're on something like Claude, you could go to Claude Design, and then you could just ask it to, we could say, a functional medicine website. Then we could just take that prompt and put it into here and send it, and then that will sort of start generating out a website. So you can sort of get started and move quite quickly once you start using these tools in the right way.
Very cool, Paul. Well done.
So yeah, we'll just say a fully designed scrolling landing page, and then aesthetics, say pick a direction for mood. So again, I'm just doing a very basic example here. What's the feeling you want? A feeling of hope that issues with help can be improved.
And while you run that, Paul, would this be a good time for me to put the gift
Yeah.
for everybody in the chat?
Yeah, sounds good to me. We'll just say Dr. Romero, MD, IFMC. So yeah, this is just an example, of course. This is, we'll say delivery is hybrid. Book your initial consultation, and imagery. Let's say we'll use placeholders for now. Want me to explore variations? We'll do decide for me and continue. Yeah.
And while we're waiting for that to all appear, I put in the chat there's 4 forms I normally use for when clients come to me for marketing services. And it talks about their product, their offer, the market, and any promotional materials that they have. And what I did was I had Claude put it into a zip file for you that you can go to Claude Code, put the zip file in there, and then start to give the information right to Claude or ChatGPT Codex. And this can get you started with your AI getting to know you. So you don't have to sit there and wonder what questions they should be asking you. What do you put in there? Sort of thing. And that was one of the hiccups people were having on yesterday's VIP call. I'm glad you like my avatar, Storm.
Assad was
cool.
Assad was asking about Claude Design. Yeah, it's something that people might not know is available. But if you've got a Claude subscription, you also get a subscription to Claude Design. And it's at claude.ai/design. And you get a certain amount of credits which show up in your usage. So if you go to settings and usage, then you can see how much you've got available to use for your Claude Design. When we come back to my screen, I can show you briefly where they are. And then if you wanted to know where you can upload that zip file, I don't mind showing that within Claude desktop as well.
Sure. And I can share with you I promised you could see some of the email results. And all these emails were written from the architect demand, from looking at the research first. And this morning, I had Claude build this for me, so I would know what happened to the emails. So I sent out 10,000 emails, only 10,000, since March 23rd. And it broke it down into my different lists. I had some warm-up lists to start the account up. And every cent broadcast. Here are all of the broadcast names, the campaign names, who it went to, how many were sent, the open rate, the click-through rate, and I wanted to know my unsubscribe rate. Because to me, I used to get heartbroken when I saw people would unsubscribe, but now I know as a marketer, it's keeping my list clean, and I'm okay with that. So this one had the biggest unsubscribe, 2.4%. That's why it's in red. I was inviting people who had not come to the summit to come join us today. So they're lost, right? But as you can see, the open rates are pretty healthy. I'm very happy with that. Until I get way down here to the bottom. At the very beginning, that's when it kind of took a dump. Here, 21%. That was my lowest one. But these are the kind of dashboards that Paul's an expert at creating. I made this one this morning. As you can see, I could do either the summit, 7,000 emails for the summit, or all broadcasts, either one there. Would having something like this be helpful for your company so that you didn't have to like constantly figure out what's going on? Would that be helpful? Lynn says yes. Cool. And Paul, said, sorry, this is the prompt. Uh-oh. And Joanne says, for sure.
Yeah, I uploaded a prompt without a text extension so people couldn't open it. So I've reloaded it. That was the prompt I just put in to build out the page which you saw. But yeah, you can just keep it simpler.
Yes, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the Facebook posts and the LinkedIn posts, and I'm going to have Claude analyze those next and see which ones really got traction for me. Because I would sit there at least once a week and go through the LinkedIn data. And it takes time. So Katie says, helpful? This is the answer to what she's been looking for.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, because you know what? Until you know the results with what you're getting, you really don't know where to keep going from there, right? So you build the foundation, you start, and then you have to get feedback so you know which way to go. It's kind of like driving down the highway and checking the road map, right? You know, they say that in a boat, if you start off, like, what is it? Like 1/3 of a degree off, over the course of 500 miles, you'll end up at least 50 miles off course. Something like that. And then Joanne, do we have the highest paid version of Claude? No, actually, I'm on the mid-tier level. Paul, what are you on?
I'm on the max 200, so it might be it's limited. I can check in a minute to see if design is limited for the pro version. And yeah, we'll show that page once it comes up. But yeah, what you want to try and create is a flywheel. So what Therese has done with her emails, you can then see which ones are doing well, and then the system can learn. So what you want to try and have is a self-improving loop. Every week for my LinkedIn, I pull in all of the stats from the previous week to see what went well, and then that can feed back into the system so that next week you can try and do more of what's working. They call it smell what sells. So yeah, what emails are working. And Rich was showing on his webinar, wasn't he, where people were dropping off and then sort of seeing, okay, yeah, we can change this bit in. So next time you run it, does that improve that little bit of it? So it's having a flywheel where you keep on trying to improve things by taking in data. Yes, sell what smells.
I like the idea of a flywheel with the data. I think that's the quote of the day there, Paul. Sell what smells.
I think the other way around, smell what sells. That's
oh, I got it backwards. That's the American version.
Yeah. Yeah, the page is just finished. So let me just quickly share my screen and show you what I put together. Like I said, this is a very quick example, but it does show how quickly you can start to move forward. Lots of people, they have, they might be ADHD, or they might be someone who's good at starting things but maybe not finishing them. They start a website and then 6 months later they haven't finished it. With AI now, you can sort of go back and forth and tell it what you want in plain English. You could say, change the font, make this bigger, change that color, and you don't have to go in and have all the technical skills to go in and sort of modify the CSS or the HTML. You just tell it exactly what you want and go back and forth, which is the real beauty of using AI. Let me just quickly show you.
Yeah. So yes, and Katie was commenting that she was been trudging along, but you know what, Katie? Rich felt the same way a year ago. He felt like he was behind. And look at him, 2.2 million. You're in the right spot, girlfriend.
Yeah, it hasn't created the images in this one. The image models, Claude isn't the best at images, so I would use something like ChatGPT, or I would use Gemini to create the images, and then I would just insert those into here. So I could go to one of those, but you can see it's created this is called the hero at the top: functional medicine, Dr. Romero. Book your initial consultation. You're proactive about your health, but a few things haven't quite added up. The day used to go further.
Nice.
Results that read normal. We start with attention. Thorough look at your history, your lifestyle, and how your body's actually working. So recommendations fit you, not a template. And you
Nice.
can see there's nice little sections and things. And we'll do a personalized assessment. Areas clients often want to explore. Considered care, deliver with rigor and respect. And again, once you've done that brand document, it might take you a couple of hours to do, but then it's going to have a lot better results that's personalized to you and your particular business. This is obviously quite generic, but it's still a nice copy. It's better than, lots of people don't even have a website, but you can see you could set up a website in an afternoon using some of these tools. So yeah, you've got book your initial consultations.
And Storm is asking, what's the success rate of this generated site? It looks great, but what's the conversion success rate? And I know you just created it, and I'm going to let you answer.
Yeah, that's another point where you would want to track things and again create that flywheel. So once you've created the website, then you want to start adding in the analytics. The analytics are going to show how people are finding your website. You can also, on something like, there's a tool called PostHog that allows you to do something where I think you can do the image mapping, where it will show where are people going on your site, where are people getting lost. They call it a heat map. Where do people go on your website? What do people tend to look at? So yeah, again, if you can get that information, then you can do that, and you could possibly split test. But yeah, this particular site is like Teresa said, one I just created. And again, when it comes to analytics, that also sounds very techy, very complicated. Once again, you can tell your AI to help you to install, and there's a nice little tool with Claude called it's called Claude in Chrome. So you can tell Claude to operate the website, and it can operate the website on your behalf. So again, it's just simplifying things on your behalf, particularly on the technical side. Even I struggle with the Google Analytics. So having my AI just go and set it all up for me is really handy.
So Storm just shared the link to Microsoft Clarity in the chat. Thank you for doing that, Storm. And Katie's asking, Claude just designed it, but what is it attached to? And you know what, Katie? When I first saw a page like this, I was scratching my head and going, no, where's the tracking? I'm a WordPress girl. I was always doing WordPress and Thrive themes. And I was always in there with my Google Analytics and my Facebook pixels. And here's the cool part. The page is hosted on something called Cloudflare. And Cloudflare will put all of those beautiful codes right into the header for you. So you still get the same input. And you've just eliminated WordPress costs and Thrive theme costs and hosting costs. Yeah, so I limit about $600 a year, not big money, but the kind of thing that's making my life a lot easier, because now when I need a design change, I just say, I talk to Cloud. Just like Paul was just, showing us with the prompt and saying, just talk to Claude and let them know what you want. So as I make changes in a page, like when I was making changes in the Summit page, I would just go right into Claude and say, here's the research. I need a copywriter. We've got to change the headline. And then one day I knew the page was off because I was watching the heat maps. And I said, we need to rearrange the page. And Dan Kennedy ended up at the top. Then the page started to convert. So Storm, great question. What happens to a page after it gets set up like that? It does still require a lot of the same discipline in terms of what's happening with your traffic once it gets there. And one of the things Paul and I would like to offer for each of you today to get started is help with your marketing, or if you want that whole command center to work with you to get that done for you. Who'd be interested in something like that? Would that be helpful? To help you with this? Have a guide? I'm going to put a 1 in the chat if it feels like, I want to do this on my own, or you want. And then Joanne, what does that entail? Great question, Joanne. Because you know what? Sometimes people can say, I'm going to help you, and then they disappear, right?
I think Therese might have just dropped off. It's caught her in a funny pose there. Let's bear with me a minute, and let me just find this page. She's in Mexico at the moment, so internet might be a bit up and down. Yeah. Right, just bear with me and I'll find what she sent me. Right. And also, I used Hostinger for my hosting, and the way it works, if you design something in Claude Design, then you can take the zip file and you can upload it to Hostinger, for example, and then you unzip it into your public HTML, and then the page is there. So it's not super complicated. And again, AI can help with some of that side of things. Let me. I'm just going to share my screen while we wait for Teresa to come back. Bear with me a second. And we come over to here. So I'll pop this into the chat as well. There we go. So there's found revenue hiding in plain sight inside your market. Here are 2 ways to surface it. So you can start the monthly read, or you can take the full diagnostic. Every month your market gets a full diagnostic scan, and you get the read, what changed, who is moving in your position, where your message is leaking revenue, and exactly what to do about it. It's not a dashboard you have to babysit. We help create that for you for your particular one. You have a monthly report, which is the voice of the customer, emerging pains and objections, a little bit like Teresa was showing you with the functional medicine, trend shifts, competitive messaging changes, content opportunities. There's a monthly group call, so findings, lies, how to apply them. If you can't make it, they're sort of recorded. Trend alerts, the move flagged while it's still small enough to answer. Hot seat reviews, so you can get in front of people. Messaging discussions, so we can look at improving your discussions. And there's a fast start bonus. So usually it'd be 197. It's at 97 per month. So fast action bonus, you also get the executive briefing video, which is Dr. Teresa's 20-minute market briefing, her own interpretation of what you read means and what to move on first. So yeah, if that's of interest, you can say, I want my market MRI pipes. And then we've got this one, which is the VIP. If you want to sort of move a bit quicker and you want to work with us more closely, then we've got a diagnostic plus done for you. So we work with you, and lots of people, it's still a bit overwhelming. So having someone who's been there, being able to build out, we can help you build out your pages, your funnels, and we can do a diagnostic. We can help you create your branding document, a bit like you saw for Yavana. And we can also help you create one that's your voice profile. So when you write content, it's in your voice. And we can help you with your messaging. We can run things through our arena. I can quickly show you, for example, this is an arena I've been working with Jay's team. So we have different teams, and then I had 3 rounds of emails, and this is creating 7 emails. And each one is scored. So you can see it got an 8.2 out of 10. And there I'm using some experts in the field. This is Daniel Levis, Stefan Georgi. The first round had Andrew Chaperon, Chris Orzakowski, Daniel Frossell, Ben Settle. So these are based on frameworks which I built out on courses and various stuff, and Stanley. So yeah, we can help you build out those, or we've got a similar idea for copywriting. I don't know if I've got one to hand.
Oh, there's my pencil.
Yeah, so let's go here. Let's just scroll down a minute. So for example, this is like a copywriting arena, which is the same sort of idea. And then this was the final round, and you can see the pages are put together in the branding sort of colors. So yeah, we can help with some of those sort of getting together information on how to do that. Let me go back to where we were if I can find it.
Well done, Paul. Looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
carrying the show there. My
yeah,
internet
no
went
worries.
totally MIA.
Yeah,
So
you.
I see we've got a lovely picture of me staring at the sky in your bottom
Yeah,
left-hand corner there. How do you
I
like
thought that was
that,
a
Matt?
funny one.
Yeah.
Right.
Did I
I'll
give you
hand
all
over
the right link?
I put it in the chat, so hopefully that's the right one. Yeah.
Let me see here. Okay.
Looks
Ah,
like Gypsy's using Vercel. It's the same sort of idea with Cloudflare. Yeah, I've got Vercel plus Cloudflare, and you can just host sites quite easily with those, and allows you to spin up sites. So yeah, I put the No BS Summit, your market one into the chat, and maybe you want to talk a bit more about it.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. And look at that, I've got a camera too. The internet is smiling on me again. It was your intense energy, Paul, right? Blew
That's
it
right.
up. Boom, boom. Yes. Now I'm glad that everyone was able to see some of the work that Paul's doing actually, because when we work with you, that's the kind of service you'll be getting. So we won't disappear on you. So does that help answer your question, Joanne? What would you get? Oh, Assad, please explain more. And Assad, explain more about what's on the link that was posted or how to work with us? Yes. Okay. So the first option is called the Market MRI Pulse. So in the Market MRI Pulse, this first option, you'll be getting a monthly report specifically on the voice of the customer monitoring. And as you saw when I was doing the telehealth functional medicine page, I had over 122 comments just on hormones. And there were all kinds of comments, but it was the voice of the customer talking about what's bothering them. I mean, she didn't want to feel like a teenager again. She didn't want to feel like she was 20. She just wanted relief from her pain. So for your messaging, what is the emerging pain? What are the objections to your type of service or product? Here's a really key one. What are the trending shifts for you in your market? What's your competitor doing? For the AI Summit, I had to run this report once a week because the competition got so hot and so fierce during the month of May. There were actually three summits or live events the same day as ours, but they all popped up like in the last 2 weeks. So what's going on with your competition? Very important to know so that if someone starts to imitate you, you can shift or call them out. What are your content opportunity ideas? And Paul was referring to that at the beginning of the call when he has Giovanna's DNA, he uses that to look at what's going on in the market, what's the top performing, for example, LinkedIn post or YouTube video, and how could she copy that content or how could you copy that content and get similar results? And what angles are helpful for you during the next month? We're going to get on a call together. We're going to do this on the second things, and you've got all the notes. What's going on in the trends? If you want a hot seat, we're going to look deeper at what you're doing and what's happening with your messaging, where you can build on that flywheel to something like the email dashboard. Is that going to be helpful for you or not helpful for you? Now, if you sign up by tonight, I'll be doing a 20-minute market briefing for you. You'll get like a video edition of the market report for yourself. I'm not going to give you a PDF. I'm going to actually go through and create a video discussing what's going on. So sign up by tonight. It's only $97 and you get this cool bonus. So this is the founder's rate. It's $197 is what we're going to retail it for. If you want to go deeper with Paul and I, Then we're going to go into a full diagnostic for you. What's going on with your pages and your offers and your funnel? What's working, what's not working, how could it do better? Some of you did the conversion force multiplier and it found loose revenue for you. I saw those reports. What are you going to do about it? This is where the rubber hits the road. Your market positioning statement. For example, when I changed the position of the headline on the summit, that's when we started to get people signing up. 533 people signed up for the summit. So done for you message rewrite. That's where Paul gets in there with his offer arena, with his copywriting arenas, and starts telling the copywriters, here's the competition. This is what we want. So, and you do get your first market MRI Pulse. MRI Pulse report is included in the done for you service. So that is $1,997, $1,997, and that's the founder's price. So it's normally $2,497, and we're going to guarantee our work. We're not going anywhere, Joanne. So we're going to find you the money. If you don't like it, if it's not working within 30 days, we're going to refund your money, and you get to keep the positioning statement. So you've got two links here. You can either have Smarter Marketing Decisions, which is your marketing MRI Pulse report every month. You get the full report. Sign up by tonight. I'll do a 20-minute video review for you of that. Join us on the group call. Have a hot seat if things aren't working well. How to build that flywheel, how to get the message stronger. Or you can sign up for number 2, Fix It For You. And that's where Paul and I roll our sleeves up and dive in. That's where Paul really shines with everything that he does. Was that helpful, Assad? Did that answer your question?
I'm just going to quickly sign off, but yeah, thanks, Teresa, and thanks, everyone. I look forward to maybe working with some of you, and if not, I'll maybe see you around somewhere else. And yeah, thanks, everyone, for joining the call.
Thank you so much. I know you have another engagement you have to get to, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Teresa.
My pleasure. Okay, and Joanne says, what if I don't have the funnels finished yet and running? What do I need set up before I work with you? The first thing is that marketing MRI Pulse. Start with that. If you don't have your funnels finished yet, start with that. That's going to be really, really important for you, Joanne. And then let me know when you're going to have your funnels finished, and we'll see what we can do for the fix. I want you to run out of the gate with something positive. So investing in what you've got going on now is going to save you a lot of heartache later. That's what's important. Do yourself a favor and get at least the marketing MRI Pulse. And if you don't have the funnel built, we can talk to you about building it for you. So Assad says it's late. Yes, it's late in Spain, right? And we're going to be chatting on Monday. Enjoy your weekend, Assad. Thanks for being here. I'll see you Monday. And Georgetta, can you please repost the zip file and prompt? Yeah, I can do that for you. And Katie says all of her stuff is so brand new. She's not sure she's ready for this. Katie, do yourself a big favor. At least get the time to take advantage of it. Because I am in the functional medicine space, I can personally tell you it's crowded. It's, I don't know if you're familiar with Eugene Schwartz and breakthrough advertising, but when things get to a market sophistication past 3, this is a market sophistication that's way past 3. It's really hard to connect with your audience. And as Rich Sheffrin says, that audience is problem aware and solution confused. You do yourself a huge favor and let me work with you on that deep research, because it'll make a huge difference for you. And Priscilla, yes, it's the same thing you and I talked about on our call, and it's evolved a lot since then, right? I added the video component for you, and the monthly get-togethers as well. I personally have learned that when we're all together in the same room, iron sharpens iron. And there's no better way for everyone to go to the next level when we're all in a room together. It was actually the New England Chamber of Commerce that came up with the saying, a rising tide lifts all ships. It was a Chamber of Commerce that came up with that. And it's so true for business. When we're all in that room together, everybody rises. And if you don't make the call, that's okay. You've got the report. When you sign up by tonight, you also get the video briefing review of it as well. So Gypsy, yes, I just posted the zip file for you. And Lynn says, I cut out. What was my answer to Katie? Oh, well, bananas. Okay, so my answer to Katie, I'm sorry that the internet's not being fun today. My response to Katie was about actually the functional medicine market right now is very sophisticated. Breakthrough Advertising was written by a man named Eugene Schwartz in 1966, and he identified 5 levels of market sophistication. Once you're past level 3, it becomes very difficult to reach your consumer. This market is approaching a level 5. And as Rich Sheffrin says, this market is problem aware. They know they've got a problem. They're solution confused. They don't know who to believe anymore. There's so much junk out there. And 24 years in healthcare, I have done fellowship training with the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. That, oh my gosh, I did that like in 2009. There's a lot of junk out there. So you definitely want to sharpen your message. So the prompt file, Georgetta, that was actually on Paul's computer. Does anybody have that and they could share it, or I can get that from Paul and email that out to you along with the replay? Katie says it's in the chat. I love it. I love it. So was this helpful today? What's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest takeaway from today? Oh, Georgetta moved to a new laptop. And Paul Cohen, thank you, Priscilla. Appreciate that. And Joanne says it was helpful, maybe a bit overwhelming. Keep moving forward. I can't encourage each of you enough. Keep moving forward. Every day, do something new, do something different. Stay focused on it. And yeah, your head could be spinning with all of this. Know that there's a lot to learn. Don't let it overwhelm you. Take it one step at a time. You don't have to have all the shiny bells and whistles that Paul was sharing with you. You can start simple. And you've got your webinar coming up, right, Priscilla? Yes, yes. So what would be key for you is get the webinar marketing message correct so that people come, and then following up with them. Yes, and that's where the marketing MRI pulse would be helpful for you. I'd be right there helping out with that. And Gypsy says, do you mainly market in ChatGPT? Gypsy, I'm guessing you're asking me if I mainly use ChatGPT. No, my original email agent was a custom GPT inside ChatGPT. His name is George. He's been rebuilt in Claude Code. My social media agent used to be a GPT. It's now she's rebuilt in Claude Code. The only thing that's right outside of Claude Code right now is my offer agent, and he's a Gemini Gem. He's starting to lose his shine because now I've got agents inside Claude Code, and I have an offer arena where some of the biggest names in creating offers compete and tell me which way to go. I like my Gemini Gem because he has a coaching aspect to him, and he's based on one of the planet's most sophisticated offer creators who's made over, 8 figures from his business. Yeah, so I love Claude. Claude's been very, very helpful. I enjoy using Claude a lot. And Claude Code is where I put together all of the that's where my pipelines live. That's where I put together all the marketing deep research for the summit. That's where the emails came out of for the summit. And that's where the telehealth campaign came out of. So Lynn says her biggest takeaway is to get started and work with us in the future when she's done the research and funnel. Cool. Awesome, Lynn. Get started. Good for you. And that's my sister's name, Lynn. She's in Columbus, Ohio. And you spell it the same way. So I don't know what kind of research you need to do, Lynn. Let me know. And if I can be of help, I'm happy to put you in the right direction with the right angles on that as well, using Claude. Or if you prefer ChatGPT. And Lynn says, thanks. Co-therapist in healthcare. Nice. Nice. A lot of healthcare people on today, right? And Priscilla, you're not healthcare, you're energy. Yeah. Yeah. And we've got Katie who's doing healthcare. Who else is on the call with us here? Joanne, Dante, Georgetta, Alan, John, Peter, Lee, John, Paul. Awesome. So for each of you, what's your next step? What's the next step you're going to do? Are you going to open up that zip file I gave you and put it in Claude Code? Or are you going to start looking at building an Gypsy? Her focus is building out emails. Good job. I'm glad that message landed. Emails are really, really, really important. And Priscilla's going to sign up, but delay starting for a month. Let's do that then. Okay. I would enjoy that. Yeah. And Joanne's going to finish her funnels and start emails. Okay. If I can make a suggestion, Joanne, start with one funnel. Go a mile deep, inch wide, mile deep, one funnel. Make sure that one funnel's working and is optimized to the best of its ability, giving you the high conversion rates. Know what you want your conversion rates to be before you start. And then you know you can go build more. So, and start those emails. Good for you, Joanne. And Georgetta's going to apply Sam's prompts. Bomb diggity. Sam's so happy. He and I have been emailing back and forth, and he's so happy with some of the feedback that people have shared with me. And Joanne says, great info. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. So you've got your zip files, and you've got the prompt from Paul. You've got some great ideas. And if you want to meet with me, I was going to put my calendar link in the chat for you. I know Assad and I have got a meeting on Monday. So if you want to connect with me, there's my calendar link. And we can talk more about what you've got going on and what direction you'd like to go into. I've cleared my calendar for the next couple of weeks to be available for people to make sure that if you've got questions, I've got answers for you. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So this has been a true pleasure. I will be sending the replay out. It might take a while because my internet kept popping in and out. Thanks for being here, Katie. Appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. And everybody have an excellent, excellent week. And I appreciate you taking time on your Friday to hang out. This has been great. And I will see everybody soon.